Husband's mistress was rude to me, so I ruined her favorite thing, twice. I found out about my husband's affair in the most humiliating way possible. She sent me a text meant for him that said, "Your wife's cooking sucks. Hope she didn't poison the lasagna tonight, lol." The worst part was that I had literally just made lasagna for dinner that night. I confronted my husband Jake immediately. He broke down crying, begging for forgiveness, promising to end it, but the damage was done. I wasn't ready to throw away 12 years of marriage, but I also wasn't going to let his mistress think she could disrespect me in my own home. Her name was Courtney, and she worked at the same insurance office as Jake. I did some Facebook stalking and discovered her obsession. This woman was absolutely insane about her indoor plants. Her entire apartment looked like a greenhouse. She posted daily photos of her plant babies with captions like, "My precious monstera is thriving," and "Watering day is the best day." She had over 200 plants, and they all had names. Names, like actual human names. She called her favorite plant Einstein because it was some rare species she paid $300 for. She treated these plants better than most people treat their actual children. So I decided to visit her apartment complex. I knew where she lived because Jake had mentioned picking her up once when her car was in the shop. The building had terrible security, just a keypad anyone could guess. I waited until she posted on Instagram that she was at her yoga class. Then I made my move. Her apartment door was unlocked. Who leaves their door unlocked in the city? I walked straight to her plant collection. They were everywhere, covering every windowsill, hanging from the ceiling, taking up entire corners. It was actually impressive how many she had crammed into such a small space. I started with Einstein, her precious $300 monstera. I carefully removed it from its decorative pot and replanted it in the ugliest plastic container I could find in her kitchen cabinet. Then I moved every single plant exactly 1 foot to the left. Not enough to kill them, but enough to mess up her carefully arranged lighting system that she was always bragging about online. But I wasn't done. I found her plant care journal, this thick notebook where she tracked watering schedules and growth patterns for each plant. I erased random entries and rewrote them with completely wrong information. Where it said water weekly, I changed it to water daily. Where it said bright indirect light, I wrote full shade. The next week, Jake told me Courtney was freaking out because her plants were acting weird. She couldn't figure out why some were getting too much water and others weren't getting enough light. She was convinced someone had broken in, but nothing was stolen, so the police wouldn't take her seriously. That's when she made her second mistake. She started texting Jake constantly, paranoid about her plants, demanding he come over to help her figure out what was wrong. She even accused me of somehow sabotaging her plants, which Jake told her was impossible since I didn't even know where she lived. Wrong move, Courtney. This time I waited until she posted about going to some plant convention downtown. I let myself back into her apartment and got to work. I carefully removed about 50 of her smaller plants and rearranged them throughout the building. I put some in the lobby, some in the hallway, and some in the laundry room. Then I left little notes that said, "Free plants, courtesy of Courtney in 4B. By the time she got home, half her collection was gone. The building residents had taken her plants thinking she was giving them away. She spent the next 3 days knocking on doors trying to get them back, but most people had already repotted them or given them to friends. The best part was watching her Instagram stories. She was crying actual tears over her missing plants, posting desperate messages asking for their return. She kept saying someone was targeting her, but she couldn't prove anything. Jake finally ended things with her a few weeks later when she became too paranoid and clingy. She was convinced I was stalking her, which technically I guess I was, but she had no proof. She even tried to get security cameras installed in the hallway, but the building management said no. The last I heard, she moved back in with her parents because she couldn't handle living alone anymore. She was too afraid someone would break in and hurt her remaining plants.